柱ザ・ワールド許しはてめえが殺したエンヤバーに来いな。俺たちは初めっからてめえを許す気はてめえのつけば金では払えねえぜ。スケの領収書。
Hey, what is up guys, and welcome to my channel and for a new build for Stranger Paradise. This build is really special. As you could see in the intro, I'm a big JoJo fan, and seeing how this job acts just like Star Platinum, I just had to make a build around it. The main job ability, which is the Explosive Fist, did get a slight buff with the Wanderer of the Rift DLC. Damage is a little bit higher, but nothing too insane. Also, the Knuckles are just one of my favorite weapon types in the game. A nice close range brawler weapon with some really amazing weapon abilities to go with them. Now this build is by no means the strongest or the best build in the game. It's just pure fun to watch you punch the hell out of enemies a gazillion times. You can do almost everything at full Dragon Trials and can easily do the labyrinth up to floor 50, after which your Explosive Fist will really die down in damage. And not only that, the bosses also have a tremendous amount of health on the higher floors. Still, I have other options in this build that will take you further in the rifts to even floor 90 with just this build alone and no monster buffs. Some of the moves are insanely powerful than your main action skill. This is a build that I've been trying to put together for a while now, and I'm really excited to share with you all, so let's get right into it. As our main class, we're going to be using the Martial Master, and as for the secondary, we will be using the Lunarian class on the Tyrant. With the Tyrant, we can use our chain cancel to reach max MP really easily at the start of every fight using the Luna ability, which is free to use. Tyrant is overall a really good job for melee builds, as it will add magic to your attacks, which will boost your damage while also being able to easily regen your max MP because of your attacks doing magic damage. If you would like to use another job, feel free to do so. If you are not running the lifts, then any job that can chain cancel easily can be used, but Tyrant is the best option. For the affinities, once again the most important one is the Cyclic Warrior at 600%. This will proc all your social effects whenever you use Lightbringer. This works hand in hand with our Bahamut Summon Blessing, which will increase all of our stats on Soul Shield. It is definitely the most important affinity that you will need. We then also get 600% on our Void Knight for the beautiful Haste skill whenever we are above 4 bars of MP. We also get reduced MP ability costs as well as increased potency on our MP recovery effects. We have 400% on our Evoker, so we have some form of passive MP regen. 400% on our Assassin is needed, so we deal bonus break damage the longer we avoid taking damage. This is only here because of the affinity is on our main job as well, since we will be switching jobs a lot of the time. If we don't have this affinity on both of your jobs, then you will lose the bonus every time you switch jobs if you only have it placed on one of them. So it's important to have it on both of your jobs. We have 250% on our Samurai for bonus damage on chain cancel, and then finally 120% on our Summoner, which is what we use to boost our max MP by chain cancelling. On our gear pieces, it's important to have Soul Burst MP recovery, as well as Soul Shield MP recovery, as well as action ability MP cost. Then any other stats that give you bonus costs on your command abilities. On your accessory, it's really important that you have Inky Envy. This will apply a debuff on the enemies that will have them take increased damage and pierce their weaknesses. Anything that can give you bonus damage is good to have. Here is a look at the master points for the Tyrant. Now let's have a look at our main Pugilist job. We are using the Martial Master class, and I do recommend using this and nothing else. This class will increase the duration of all of our buffs every time an attack lands with the Explosive Fist. So every time your punches land, it will slightly increase the duration of all of your buffs that you have present. That is all of your buffs. The reason why this class is so good is the fact that you can chain cancel from your Tyrant, and you get that bonus damage from your Samurai affinity which has a pretty short duration. Here you can see the samurai damage buff only lasts around 6 to 7 seconds. This is with the Dragon Trials at its max. But now we can make it last indefinitely. We increase the duration with each attack, making it last as long as you keep on punching the enemies. Not only that, the haste skill that you get from the Void Knight affinity lasts for around 2 to 3 seconds when you switch jobs. If you start punching as soon as you switch jobs, you can even have the haste skill be active all the time. This is basically free, making any buff last forever. It's a shame that the game on the Dragon Trials counts Lightbringer as part of a buff duration stat, but this job will not increase the duration of Lightbringer. If it did, it would have been even more insane. So now let's have a look at the affinities. Even though the explosive fists do reasonably good damage, this build is still purely break damage focused. That is because the damage alone will scale really badly in the labyrinth, which is why we will be using other means to beat the higher rift floors. We get 600% on our assassin, so we get bonus agility stats, as our main skill and mostly all of your skills on your knuckles are mostly agility focused. Agility also increases the break damage that you deal on critical hits. We also get bonus break damage the longer we avoid taking damage, and then finally bonus agility whenever we soul shield enemies. We then get 600% on our breaker, so we get increased damage on soul burst and bonus strength on soul shield. 400% on our black mage, so we can boost our max MP limit with all the magic damage that we deal. This is where the Tyrant's action skill comes into play, where we can imbue a weapon with an element, as it will all count as magic damage. 400% on our Dark Knight, so we can increase damage when enemies are targeting us, and also having all our near-death effects active all the time. Now this is where your builds can change up a little. 400% on our Dragoon is not necessarily needed. I added it in just for keeping it with the theme of this build. I wanted to get as much attack speed as possible, and this will increase our attack speed during Lightbringer. If you just want to optimize your build, then get any affinities that can give you bonus strength or agility. You can even go for 600% on your main Pugilist job to get reduced costs and access to all weapon abilities, which you can then use whatever you want in your builds. Since we don't use the samurai at 600%, you may be wondering how you can get critical hits so you deal max damage and break damage as possible. That is all thanks to our Dimension Bringer. We gain a special attack during Dimension Bringer when you press the circle button. This will not do much on its own, as it will launch just a magic orb which will deal terrible damage, really bad damage. But the main reason why we use this is the fact that we can press the R2 button after using the special attack, and it will trigger the combo ability set to the after parry slot. This is not only an easy way to spam your combo abilities, but the after parry slot on your job automatically guarantees a critical hit. Now, it really doesn't matter what ability you have set in the after parry slot, it will always be a critical hit. So on your weapon, the most important thing you will need is the Falcon's Dive skill. This will enable you to use the Falcon's Dive on any of your combo ability slots. It can usually only be found on your third combo ability slot, and since it's not an actual weapon technique, you can't get it by using 400% on your Pugilist. If you have seen my assassin build previously, then you will know that this move is by far the strongest move on the knuckles. The damage is absolutely insane, even on this build that is focused on break damage. It hits multiple times with such high damage, making it easy to break the large bosses. It's not the best move to use on the shorter enemies or bosses like the pirate, as you're going to miss out on a lot of hits that the attack does in the air, which is probably the only weakness of this move. It is best to use this move on the larger bosses. On your gear pieces, make sure you have good damage dealt on explosive fist, damage dealt and MP reduction on your knuckles combo abilities. After that, get as much as you can on strength, agility and your best stats on break damage, such as critical break damage dealt, Lightbringer break damage and so on. You can even add in a few Lightbringer duration to make your Dimension Bringer last a little longer. For your accessory, it's good to have the Lion Heart. The Lion Heart will give us the invincible skill that will make us immune to all attacks during Lightbringer. As for your command abilities, we get the Mighty Strikes and the Lancet combo, so we get bonus damage and MP regen with all of our attacks. We get Invincible to boost the effects of all of our critical hits. If you want to go even faster with your attack speed and get more punches, add a Lunatic. As you know, this build is only focused on punching as fast and as much as you can. Here is a look at the master points for the Pugilist. That is all you will need to put this build together. This build was really just made to give us the feeling of having the Star Platinum stand, and overall just an amazing build to play with. The explosive fits are no way going to take you to floor 100 on their own, but the other moves will. It is just so satisfying to watch you endlessly punch the hell out of everything. I can never get bored of this move. If it wasn't for the Dimension Bringer, I wouldn't have recommended this job at all, since you're completely locked in place when you start punching. There is not a single enemy in the game that will stay in place while you attack. You can't even turn around or face the enemy if they move about. The Falcon's dive on the other hand is totally OP. The damage that it deals is really insane. Even if you didn't want to go for break build and went for damage alone, this move will still do well. Other moves like the Death Claws, the Spiraling Claws, the Double Dragon combo, they all do great damage as well as break damage on the higher rift floors, so use whatever you like. Hope you guys enjoyed the build. I had such fun making and playing with this build that I can't even describe it. Probably one of my favorite builds in the game. What did you guys think of this build? Do you enjoy the awesome ability on this job? Let me know. I would love to hear from you all. I will catch you all next time.